Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Barris Batch. Today we have a few new guests with us, or returning guest, Nicole. Nicole's on the podcast. Sai's here, Ankit's here, and we have a new guest, Akshay. So, Akshay, I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit about where you're from. And
Hey
yeah,
guys, so I'm from Hyderabad, but now I stay in Vancouver. I'm glad to be a part of the new Bavers batch member. I had a great time watching the movie with these guys, but we're gonna get to it once we listen to some gay ass comments from Nicole and Sai.
Oh, he actually
uh,
said.
yeah. Okay, so the movie we're reviewing is Salaar. If you guys don't know what that is, it's Prabhas's new movie. Probably the biggest Telugu movie we have this year. And then we'll be talking about, what we liked, what we didn't like, and if we recommend it or not, right? So I guess going into this movie before we start, do you guys have like any bias? Were you excited for it? Were this is one of your most anticipated movies, or did you go in being like, like who cares? Yeah. So what was your mentality pre-movie?
I would say like pre-movie, I was pretty excited. I think the trailers really excited me. Before the trailers, I wasn't that hyped about it, but after the trailers, I was pretty hyped and excited to go in. And
You didn't
then
like Lion, Tiger, Cheetah?
that's
Dude,
what I
the
was,
dinosaur thing,
that's what I was watching.
it would always get him going. Every movie one.
He did.
Fucking
I
like
could
the other day,
bunch of
man, when the lion tiger cheetah thing came on, I was like, dude, insane! I'm getting goose pimples. Like, oh my god, that's what he was saying.
extra, but to an extent, it's accurate. So I was pretty excited. And then also we went on no, we went on we went on Friday. So the movie came out like a day before, and all the reactions have been like glowing, positive. Everyone was saying it's like amazing. So I tried to not let it get to me, but that obviously increases your hype even more, right? So I went into the movie pretty like hyped up, expecting like an insane, crazy movie.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. So,
Sounds
Any, anyways, I
sounds
yeah, I think I was pretty excited too. So okay, so Ankit and Sai aren't the biggest KGF fans. To preface this review,
yeah. Hey, you're not either, right? Or do you like KGF?
oh yeah, Akshay, yeah, do you like KGFs?
Yeah, I like KGF. KGF
Okay,
was a good preset, but I don't know about this one. But we'll get
okay,
to it.
okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure Nakul and Ankit were also hyped. They were next to me, but or not next to me, but like they were talking about it. But yeah, so I guess let's get started and should we start? We always start with positivity first, right? Let's talk about things that we liked.
Yes, go ahead.
No, wait, no. Let's actually flip it this time. So you guys always do the same thing, and then we always start with the negatives. Our ratings for the movie always goes down even more. Like,
Yeah, fine. Let's start with negatives. Yeah, fine.
start with negatives and then end on a good note.
Yeah,
I
these
don't
guys will
go
talk
to
for like
sleep
40
like
minutes,
when
and then
watch
you and
it.
I will have
Yeah,
the
Huh?
final like
we
20
have like the
minutes.
final 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
negatives. I guess we can just get this out of the way because I know everyone's gonna say it. Shruti Hassan was one of the worst parts of the movie. I could not take her overaction in the movie, man. Her dialogue delivery, everything was so bad. I mean, a lot of it, I would say it's half her fault, half of what she was given. Like Prashant Neil, I don't know what he was thinking when he was writing her character, but that was a very, very poorly written character to begin with. And then Shruti just made it worse. So I just feel bad for her that she just got handed this like terrible role. But she also performed like pretty bad. Like I can't like not give that part of the credit to her. So I think that's like on everybody's list. Like I think we all
I don't even know if it's her fault. They probably told her have a NRI accent, or they give like what those dialogues are so bad.
they're
What can she do
they're
with that
just
shit?
a poorly written
I mean,
dialogue.
like, what can she do bad about? Like, she did her due diligence, given like the role that she was given, right?
No,
Like,
she's the worst
she
part
have
of the
done
movie. I
better.
agree, but I'm saying like
Like
these
that was
guys
just
could have
the
written her
character she
better
had.
at the very least.
Yeah,
No, the thing is like they
no,
already
you can't
started
camp
her
her for
off.
that. That's fucked up.
No, they already
Yeah.
started her off as like they already gave her a pretty bad role. Like they
Yeah,
Yeah,
already
so,
gave her an
exactly.
L to begin with.
yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
so she
she
just
didn't
couldn't
do
ele
anything wrong. It was all the character itself.
Okay, dude, can you fucking like why you were in the I guarantee in the theater you're roasting Shruti Hassan, and now on the Zoom you're acting all
He's like,
acting
I'm the biggest Shruti Hassan supporter.
yeah, and now all of a sudden this guy is Shruti Hassan fan, you know?
Dude,
Yeah.
They turned into
I thought she
Kamal
was
in there.
terrible. Every time she talked in English, I felt like I was watching Ram Charan at the Oscars again. Ram Charan and NTR at the Oscars. You
Yeah.
never
Dude,
know what's Rajamoli.
Dude, like I think every frame she had one expression, which was like
Yeah, it
her
was
face being
terrible.
stuck in shock, and then had some stupid dialogue after that. Which,
Yeah.
dude, I don't even know if she needed to perform like an NRI accent for that. You know, it's like even her other movies like aren't that great, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Ankit,
about?
do you have anything to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like about Shruti Hassan or the movie in general.
Anything you want.
I mean, if you have nothing to add on Shruti Hassan, then yeah.
Yeah, so I think one of the things is that it's just this is one thing that Prashant Neil has done more than one time is that he's just added too many characters. By the end, I didn't know whose name was which. I didn't know who was doing what. Brahmaji is like a main villain in the movie, and there's like so many other
What?
character artists.
What movie did you watch?
I mean, he's like a villain in the movie.
I'm
That is
so
a side
shocked you said
character.
main
Yeah,
villain.
he's,
Dude,
Wait,
he's
how?
like the sixth villain.
he's a
I
fucking
didn't
comedian
like
for the
that
movie.
part, you know. So
He's like the sixth backup villain.
Dude, you did not just say he's the
Straight
main
up.
villain. Yeah, what the fuck?
I'm down for the audience to believe that if they go in watching this.
Dude, at
The
that point,
audience
they
already
wouldn't
knows
watch
to
it.
ignore whatever
They
you
see
say about
Brahmaji
a
as the main
movie
villain.
at this point. Yeah.
This is a spoiler review, so they probably already saw it by the time they're watching this.
Yeah. It's only
But
been 2
anyways,
days, but yeah, to be fair.
one of your points, Ankit, that you were saying, yeah, there were a lot of characters in this, unnecessary amount, or fine, necessary amount, but the way they were presented was so bad. Like, I think the beginning of the second half, like the first 30 minutes, is when he goes on a rampage of introducing all these new characters, and it doesn't stop. It just keeps coming and coming and coming, and then Prabhas is nowhere to be found in these 30 minutes. And then the way they also tell you this information is like they're reading, like some guy's literally narrating this to you like he's reading off a script. Some narrator guy, like a generic narrator voice. He just says, yeah, Consar, like whatever, whatever, and then says this guy that belongs to this clan, this clan, this clan. This is all that happens for like 30 minutes, right? And they don't show you anything like about these clans to introduce you to these clans. It's just, yeah, this clan exists, that clan exists, this person is there, this person is there, and then they read off more information about their voting system. Like they say like 60 people are like coppers or something, 8 people are like lords or something like that. And they basically like give you like a rule book. Like this guy's just reading a rule book of how Kansar works. I did not like that at all. I thought that was just lazy storytelling. If like an actual filmmaker, what they would do is write scenes that show the different characters, like to introduce these characters that you want to introduce. Write scenes to show how the political system works instead of just telling us like, yeah, this is how it works and 30 minutes of exposition, right? So that I thought was a huge negative.
Yeah, damn, I actually disagree with that because oh my God, we're gonna have a fucking Pushpa episode again. I don't even remember the last time all of us were on different pages. But anyways, I disagree because the second half, the Shruti Hassan's being narrated to, right? So he is narrating all these characters. He's telling her about the tribes. And I thought the way they showed it was really cool. I knew who belonged to which tribe, and the voting, they showed it, right? The scale tipping and that. I thought all that was really cool. It felt almost like a mini history lesson. And I thought that's different than like showing us, 15 characters. Like each one gets a scene. The movie's gonna be even longer. And these guys are all gonna be in the second part, hopefully. Right? Even Pushpa and like movies that are two-parters always introduce extra characters. I thought it was cool the way they did it. And for me, Prabhas not being in the movie as much, I know a lot of people hate that fact. You said he wasn't in it. But for me, Prabhas is just a part of Kansar, which is what I really like. Right? He's just a vehicle through which the story is told. There's so many other people, so many politics, so many characters that I think like part one is just set up. So I don't know if like even though they have a lot of characters, they gave them cool stuff. Like Bobby Simha, like got his own cool reveal at the end, right? Like Bala, like Brahmaji, set up a union alliance in the movie. Every character wasn't wasted, in my opinion. They all have something that they're gonna do in the second part. Um, but yeah, that's my 2 cents. But you guys can talk about negatives too. I don't want to keep going.
Wait, say
Uh,
it. You just talked about positive.
huh?
Say it.
No, I mean it's still his negatives.
But
I just think what he said was a negative. For me, I thought was a positive.
Yeah, but let's talk about like the first half of the movie. What's the point of that? Like,
Yeah.
like honestly, like I wasted like an hour to get to the good part that you're even talking about, where he even like tried his best to explain like 100 different scenes, and like I get it. Like, okay, it's a good history lesson and stuff like that, but like at least introduce the characters like properly. Like, okay, these guys have this province or something. They're just like there's a bunch of governors, leaders. I don't even know what. And then there's a part where each guy has like a fatter bracelet, which has like the biggest territory. And the first scene of the movie, he's throwing it out. How do you even know that? Okay, yeah, this is like actually
What
divided
is the
into like
meaning
a
of that,
hundred
right?
different
Yeah.
people? Like, I thought it was supposed to be about their friendship, and they didn't even speak much
It was
about that.
nothing about that. That okay, you touched on a different point. I think the first half in general is like one of the biggest negatives I have. I did not to see need to see any of that first half. Like that first half was completely irrelevant to the rest of the story that's happened in the second half. Like if they just stuck to what was in the second half and made that the entire movie, like first half was also like Kansar and everything. And instead of like running through the second half by introducing all these people and just took the movie to like actually introduce not all 15 characters, but at least the main ones. Like I don't even feel like Jagat Babu had like a decent like introduction per se, and he's supposed to be the king of Kansar, right? So if they took time to actually introduce these like main people that are in Kansar and basically shrunk that first half into like 10 minutes and deleted most of Shruti Hassan in that first half, then I think the movie would have been a lot better. But uh as it is right now, that first half was a major negative. Like I don't think I liked anything in the first half, to be honest.
Jagpati Babu was in the movie for like 1-2 minutes. Saw Bobby Simha say that you should like give your son back. He gave him back and then he dipped for 20-30 minutes. And then the last 5 minutes he came back. He said, yeah, there's an army here and I'm gonna be preparing for it. I don't know why he was in the movie.
Yeah.
Why
This
did
is
the
this
king
is
disappear and not respond like to like
They
the
gave a
one
reasoning for that. I
person?
forgot what it
No,
was.
he said his reason was because he didn't want anyone to know because he knew that like someone within that whatever fucking Proboscis family
see
thing is.
the
Oh, the
problem with a
reason
lot
why
of
he left Kansar. Like what was
The
that
reason
reason?
how he left Kansar was because he wanted to gather like an army because he knew what he feared most about how like someone from that family is still alive. Like he knew that was true, right? So we wanted to get an army to prepare for that because he knew they're already preparing.
No,
they,
because
they
he's
they explained why he left Kansar. So basically they said Kansar is a thing that's built off of fear, right? The
yeah.
walls go to Lavani, like it's to like make people fear. He said he found that somewhere out there people weren't fearing it or people were getting ready to like go against it. So he went on a hunt. But see, that's the problem with a lot of these arguments. I've seen online too. It's not just you guys that think that. You can't really judge a movie based on just part one alone. Like I know, like all these points are true. Like if they do waste, like you guys said this during Pushpa as well, but in part two, if they waste them, then fuck it, right? Then it's a complete waste. But in my opinion, Jagwati Babu didn't need to be in the movie for more than 5 minutes. It's his minions trying to kill Prithviraj in the second half, right? Like what is Jagapati Babu gonna do? If Jagapati Babu was there, the whole point of this would have been done. They wouldn't have had the guts to do a ceasefire or attempt to kill any of these guys.
Oh,
So
dude, don't see ceasefire itself. I don't
No,
know what the fuck was going on.
the
uh,
thing
What the
was
no,
like I
ceasefire, like
understand
the
that
fuck was trying to
this is
kill him, but then he was like, okay, I want to keep like everyone wanted to keep the ceasefire so they can cap Prithviraj, and then Prithviraj was like, no, fuck it, I'm down to get capped.
I guess
Well,
he's no, no,
shoot
that's
the
not.
fuck out of
He's
you
just
guys, and then be like, yeah, we'll lift the ceasefire. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going
he.
on?
So I also think
That
the
part was
first
so
half.
confusing.
No, that I mean, so the point of that is like, um, I think why they did that is because he has his diarium now, right? He has his courage. He has Prabhas. So he's like, I'm tired of running from these people. And Prabhas even says, let's make Kansar bleed. Like let's make the streets literally drown in blood.
Yeah, and just
You know,
fucking
like he
hide
has his
them.
army now. So he's huh?
Ansari Rupakala.
Yeah.
Apollo
Also,
dialect.
Prashant Neil is so smart for not giving Prabhas that many dialogues. Like he knew he's like a little on the rough side of acting right now. So he's like, let's just make him look sick. And he did that. But for
I
the
would
first
listen.
half, like you guys said, like I'm defending the first half because once again, right, like Shruti Hassan, like yeah, she's terrible actress, but she's integral to the story. Her coming to India triggers a chain reaction of fucking events that go all the way to concert. And I think the first half had the perfect setup because you get them as kids, and like I actually not seen it. Like I thought they were cool as kids. Like they established right away this guy is like a fucking mental, like Arya 2, and like Arya 2 kid and him would be best friends, right? Like when he pulls the perfect elevation scene, like with the current shock, stuff like that, I thought was good. And then Prithviraj saving him, I thought that scene was really cool. And then the elevation, Prabhas is like innocent, and not innocent. He's like very meek and weak for like 30 minutes. And the second
That I
he
think was really
fights those
dragged.
people is like nuts, right? And
No, I
then
think
like
wait, quick thing about when you said like that 30 minutes where it seems like a week. I feel like
yeah,
that part was very dragged, and I feel like that part they could have
they did that
condensed
for the
it.
big payoff though, because then when he beats their ass, it's so much more
Yeah,
satisfying.
but bro, like I mean, we were already waiting for like 35, 40 minutes at that point, and it was damn near the interval.
Yeah,
And I'm like, bro, like come on, right? And at that point, I was like, dude, come the fuck on. And then I remember a boy was sitting right next to me. I was like, dude, holy shit, about time. I mean, yeah, it was the elevation was sick, but like leading up to that point, I was like, dude, is this shit dumb? Like I
I
just
agree.
need to see.
There's some parts in the first half that are cringe, like his mom having a seizure for the plastic knife. Like
I
I
was like,
couldn't
what the
handle
fuck?
that. That was a little too much.
Dude, I didn't understand why she had that when she never even saw him like fight inside. Like
That's
she didn't even go to Kansar, right? Like how she having those
Yeah,
flashbacks of him like killing people like
no, I
that?
I
feel like there's
but the
more
either
to
they
flashbacks,
it.
didn't,
flashbacks
they
not
didn't
done yet.
oh yeah,
Flashbacks
they
still,
didn't show it
yeah.
to us yet, but like yeah,
He
you can
had to have seen
see.
something.
No,
She
but
had to, yeah.
that's the thing with me. Like, it's like, yeah, this is part one, but it's so dumb how this is not a self-contained film. Like, yeah, okay, it's part one. There's part two coming, whatever. Number one, number two coming. But like, if you take Pushpa part one, right? I felt like that was pretty self-contained as a film until like
Mhm.
the last 20 minutes when Fahd Fasil comes in and they lead
Yeah.
into part. Like part one, I
Yeah,
was
but
satisfied with part one, right? I was like, okay, this is a pretty good self-contained film, and it leads you into the next one, like by cutting Fahd Fasil's stuff off to show in the second part. But in this, I felt like it was a 3-hour trailer for part two, and the
yeah,
first part was a trailer for the second. I mean, first half was a trailer for the second half, and the second half was a trailer for part two. So I was like, when am I getting the actual film? Like, what
yeah.
is the content that you're trying to give me? Like, I
Uh,
never got that from this whole movie.
I mean, I think Pushpa also it's unfair to compare. Like only reason I brought it up is because the two-parter, but like Pushpa had way less world building, right? Like there's only Sunil, Anasuya, Rashmika, Allu Arjun, Fahad. Like these are the main characters that it centers around. This movie has like three different tribes. Like Shoryanga is like two others, people within that tribe. Prabhas's personal family plus Shruti Hassan's family, and God knows how many more people, right? So it's like it's hard for them to introduce her. But I agree. I agree that a lot of it felt like a trailer, but I'm glad they did that because he's making a story. Like I prefer this. I would rather prefer whenever Prabhas is on screen, it's electrifying, right? Like I think we all agree, like he tore up the screen. His presence was insane. I would rather have this and like story and build up than like I love the KGF movies, but like seeing Yash occupied every single frame, right? The KGF movies, maybe he was out of it for like 20 minutes. And there's not as much of a story. In this one, they're actually taking the time to build a story. And Prabhas is like whatever scenes we get of him are sick, right? Like the beheading, all that shit, like
Yeah,
climax. But I think
I got some stuff to say about those scenes,
yeah,
but
yeah. But trailer, yeah, I think that's the whole point, right? It's just such a big world that they have to build it up. And like first half, like I like the first half. I think all the elevations worked. But negatives, like my biggest negative has been fucking trying to convert the negatives into a positive. But my biggest negatives were a lot of the overacting. Like the guy had zombies in the climax. Where the fuck did he grow them? Like, I
Dude,
hated that guy.
he gave him
that guy was the worst part of that
He was
movie.
such a bad actor, dude. He was on like Molly, Coke, LSD. I was like, dude, keep your tongue in your mouth for fuck's sake. Like
He's kissing the chair and
BGM,
oh
dude.
my god.
I dude, the thing is the BGM for KGF is really good, and there are parts of the BGM in this one that were good, but I was disappointed by the lack of like heavy drums or shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of fight scenes were cool, but maybe it was my theater. I didn't even like much of a BGM, and I was like, damn, KGF BGM would elevate the fuck out of this scene.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
that was one of the big things like I was expecting coming in because like after like
yeah,
in the KGF, I was like, oh, I'm expecting like some crazy music, like KGF-esque music. It's like every time he enters the scene, some crazy elevation, crazy music stuff. I was
Yeah.
expecting that, and I got like fucking like no music. I was like, what the
Yeah, there's barely any. Like
right?
climax was good, but
Yeah,
rest
no, it
is
was
like
like that climax, like in the climax, like that BGM was sick. But then aside from that, I didn't really get any music like that.
yeah.
Elevation scenes itself were pretty cool. I think those were like my favorite part because I was just went in a lot with like a KGF mindset, and I love
Yeah.
KGF because all elevation scenes. So I thought that part was sick and it's very different. I mean, with KGF, you fucking just leave the
I
story
mean,
and
he
go.
loves coal mines. That part's still in the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna get at. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of similar too. Like
like
you
the
know how
colors
like
and stuff.
Yash rode on. Dude, to be honest, I thought it was the same bike they used in this movie for Prabhas too. That
It
Yash
might have
was
been, yeah.
Like, yeah.
like he was driving like in a coal mine, and then that guy is helping people like from a coal mine, which
Yeah.
like there were like a lot of similarities from KGF and this. So like
Right. That's
it
why I was.
kind of felt like, oh yeah, like are they gonna like do something a little more different? And all I could find different is they added like 100 characters more, which I guess there is a lot more story to build up, like you guys said in part two. But I think like I'm kind of getting tired of like this waiting for like the next part. Like at least finish some part of the story. Every part or everything they introduced has a gap that needs to be filled. Like what is the first half? It's not done yet. What is the second half? It's not done yet. Even parts of the second half, it's not completely like explained why. Like and
Yeah.
like the 30 years of gap that Prabhas and like his best friend had, like Prithviraj, like what happened in between that? Nothing. That guy just comes 30 years later and he's like, yeah, I'm a badass and I'm gonna like defend you. Like, how did he even get to be a badass if he ran away from that place?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
agree
that's
with
they don't show like Prabhas is a top to begin with. Like he's never had there's no like reason or rhyme for him being a top. Which okay, fine, you can say whatever, Prabhas is a big star, he's gonna be a top, obviously, right? We all know. But in a story, in a world that you're trying to build this much and give all these characterizations, you can't show how Prabhas kind of became a top. Like why does everyone fear him? Like why does his I mean, obviously, yeah, part two is yet to come. His mom, why does his mom fear him? Like even like before he steps into Kansar, people were giving him like build up and everything. Why? Like the people in Kansar don't know who he is or anything. So like I don't understand like his or even a Prithviraj. I mean, yeah, I guess Prithviraj knows that he's a psycho, but he doesn't know to the extent of like his ability, right? He just knows he's a psycho that he'll do anything that Prithviraj asks him to do. So I just feel like they haven't explained Prabhas's reason to why he's like Prabhas, like why he's like so like whatever able to do all these things. He just is able to do it. That's it. Which
yeah,
I
I
guess
agree with both Sai and
whatever.
Akshay. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying like yeah, but in a movie that gives like all these reasonings and characterization, like you can't miss that. That's your main role, like main like protagonist, right? So you have to kind of give that characterization to him. But they missed that. They didn't do anything with that. Go ahead, Keith. What were you saying?
What's it
You have
called?
one
Yeah.
moment of silence and you don't even talk using it.
I agree with what Sai and Akshay said because like all these are things that could be done in part two, but the one thing that I have no trust for Neil is that this was like something that had happened in KGF 2 as well, right? There was like a lot of mysteries in KGF 1, and then in KGF 2 they didn't like they added like 15 more mysteries and then the movie still ended and there was like plot holes everywhere and everything. So I don't have any hope on Prashad Neil to like in the second part even to like answer all those mysteries. I feel like he'll just add 15 more, solve like five and then call it a day and then put some BGM on it. So I feel like I don't have too much trust in him even as like a franchise for all these mysteries to be solved.
Yeah, and my biggest thing is like I think oh crap, I lost my train of thought. Um
Dude, I don't even have hope in anything you say, Keith, but I still fucking listen. Like, what do I have to do?
Yeah, I lose hope every time you speak.
Yeah,
Also, yeah,
every
wait,
time I
that's
speak,
such a you can't say I don't have hope in the director to resolve doubts as a way to criticize the first movie. Like that's not fair at all.
Like, dude, KGF
Like,
2 was
how is that
crazy.
anything to do
Like,
with
I still watch that shit. I was
first?
like, oh my god.
Like the second
Like, I
movie
still get
hasn't
my
come
blood
out yet,
boiling.
and you're saying I have no faith that the second one will be good to
Like, dude,
make
I
the
watched
first one
KGF 1,
worse.
KGF 2. I feel like I'm ready to kill someone.
Also, wait, hold up.
Actually, no,
There's
actually, I
no
don't believe.
justification for any hero being dope. It's Tollywood. Your hero's gonna be a big dick, kill 100 people. Do
No,
we
no, no.
ask
That's
for?
Hey,
all fine.
Balakrishna?
No, that's all fine. But like, you're giving this much backstory characterization to everybody, right? So in a
Yeah.
movie that does that, why would you not do that to your protagonist? You can't
No, I
show
mean,
beginnings
he
to like
he
to why you're a
also
dope.
no one in Kansar
Oh,
feared him
also,
before
this
he
is not
entered.
my
Only yeah.
sorry, this is not my biggest
No,
negative. I'm saying this adds on to the list.
no,
I
no,
don't care. Obviously, it's Parbas. We're gonna all believe that he's a
yeah.
dope. Like it
But
just
That's the
like
thing with like
to your point,
you
no
could
one in
ask that about
Kansar.
like a Balakrishna movie. Why is Balakrishna that dope in like even one of his movies?
Yeah, why is his
Like,
gut
how
coming
does
out
it
of
come from?
6
Where's the
feet?
origin?
What
does
he
Balakrishna movies have this much characterizations and like storyline and everything? No. So yeah, you
Dude,
don't
he
care about it.
Balakrishna does
but that's the
this
thing.
and he pushes
That's
away
the
the
thing.
train.
Like
Go
also
back.
wait. I no one in Kansar thought he was a dope because he literally gets clowned by Prithviraj's squad. They're like, this is the guy you bought, like he's not gonna do shit. It's only until Katharama arc where he starts
Yeah.
murdering people that he should not even be touching is when people realize he's a dope. People feared him like even in the interval because they knew who he was. No one in Kansar gave a shit about Deva besides Prithviraj. And I think the one scene to your point, the one scene where he willingly electrocutes himself to help out his friend just about like a Mokuring goes to show this dude is like
That's a
he's
good
that level of dope. I think they established that in the first scene itself, in my opinion. But I mean,
Yeah, no,
I get it.
that scene was like insane elevation. Like I agree with
Yeah,
that.
it
But
started off on a bang. Yeah,
yeah, and even especially like they gave him like the whole like lightning bolt like scar
yeah, yeah,
because of that. I thought that was pretty cool. But
yeah,
like what one another gap is like they mentioned that he was the son of like that Shorangya clan's leader or whatever.
yeah,
But then they didn't answer if he knows or not because then Shruti Hassan asks what if Deva knows, and then like he starts doing the same sword dance that they do.
Oh shit, he
like
knows. I feel like.
like how does he know that whole sword thing? Like
yeah. That part was interesting. I think maybe yeah.
I
I don't
think
know if they
that has to
mentioned.
go into part two too, because we don't know because we also don't know that because we also don't know like so say like Jagpata Babu killed all the Shauryas, right? Then how is Prabhas's mom still alive? Right? So there's
No,
a lot of those
did you miss the
questions that
fucking
don't
first
come
scene of the
up.
movie? What
Huh?
are you saying?
His friend
Did
saved
you
them.
did you miss the first like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
What?
Kidding.
No, he's
What
talking
happened the
about
first
how
Dude,
time
is
his
his
friend
mom
no.
died?
alive
What
in the
happens
first
is like
place.
his friend Prithviraj saves him as kids. He saves both of
Remember those guys try
them.
to open the door and then kill his mom?
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
that was from that. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
and then Prithviraj gives up his village and gets shunned as a result. Yeah, they explain it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Akshay's correct. Like, I don't know if the swords dance was
Wait,
them
but that also
imagining it
doesn't
or
make
if
sense. Wait, no, that also is kind of confusing too, because like, wasn't his dad the king? So his dad was the king and
no.
should be in because
He
like
Dad,
Prabhas's dad was
so
the
his dad was supposed to take the throne, but
oh
Jagapati Babu and all his men they murdered not only him
the
but
entire
all
family.
of the
Okay,
Shauryangas, and
that makes sense. That makes more
Bobby
sense.
Simha and them survived because of that drainage gate, and his mom survived because Prithviraj came in clutch. But I agree. I don't know if the sword dance was like their imagination or if he actually did it, because then he would for sure know, right? Like maybe he does know he
Definitely
does
not
know he's a
imagine. I feel like he
Shauranga.
has
He
some
does
sort of
know that.
connection because like all these guys know of Prabhas too, right? So I feel like they have
yeah,
some
no,
sort of soul
they even
connection.
said like, oh yeah, is he a Shoryunga? And then like that's when he's like takes
Because they
off
have
the
the
shirt
scores in
and
the
that's
back.
when the movie ends, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So that
like
makes you
that's
wonder like
that left me so confused. I'm like now they have to explain like who his dad is, how he died, that backstory, how these guys like even figured out the whole Shoryunga gang that exists know that he's their leader already. How does he not know anything about that? Maybe it has something to do with his mom, probably, because she
yeah.
wants him away from this stuff. But like, there's so much speculation, like so much speculation, like
It'll be
on
told when
every tiny bit. I think I can just give you like twist it up in three different ways, and everyone will get confused.
I think I think as far as they know he's Sharyanga, they showed the prints that he put when he registered himself. They studied every single print, I think, coming into the kingdom, and they found one outlier. I don't know if they have a fucking Sharia printing system, but like I think that's the logic they gave, and I was like, yeah, I mean they don't have like this is still in 2017, so there's still
Yeah.
some tech. Was like I don't know. I thought it was interesting. But yeah, there was like the only negative I have is there's a lot of overaction from the supporting cast. Like people, you know, the thing where people screamed like "They were not out," like some shit like that. We hundreds of times. Like, yeah, David was coming. Like, wait, two more scenes. Like, they'll
That's
save
the
your fucking village.
that's a scene that ruined that whole like Katamaraidu or whatever scene for me.
What about the song?
Like Katamaridu.
What
Yeah,
about the Yaya?
about that scene, okay? That scene, like, I had no connect with or no hype with because, like, a very comparable scene to that is like in Chhatrapati, like when that little kid is like, beaten by one of the goons, and like, he's thrown in the circle, and like he draws a circle and says, "Don't go into that, circle to save the kid," right? Very like
Yeah.
similar concepts. And with that Chhatrapati scene, when Prabhas finally erupts and like goes, right? You have such an emotional connect to it and you feel it and you're like, yeah, let's go, like, go get him, Prabhas, like kill that guy, right? And like save the kid. But then in this scene, like when he does it, it's the same thing. Like obviously Prithviraj plays the role of Prabhas's friend, and Chhatrapati, when he tries to stop him, Prithviraj stops him and says like, don't go, don't go. Like he watches him like fold his arms. It goes on for like 5 minutes. And then after that, he finally like unfolds his arms and goes, right? But it just felt so dragged, and the hype just it didn't come through. Like I don't know what it was, but
To me,
there
I
was
was so hyped.
so
I was like,
much.
this
Why didn't he
motherfucker's
just
about to
stop
murk
him there?
people.
what did you say
Why
actually?
didn't he stop him there? Like he knew that like there's a ceasefire going on, and so there's like a like their law or whatever everyone is supposed to follow. Nothing of that law was even upheld. And what about like the army scene? The army could have shot all of them right there, and they're fumbling to load their
Oh
magazines.
yeah, I was gonna get to that. Yeah, I was gonna get to that one. That was my second thing. But like the first thing, like what I was saying, like yeah, like it wasn't like, at least for me, like in my opinion, like it wasn't there for me. And I didn't think that was a good scene at all. Like it just felt like a bunch of like visual noise happening when he was like fighting those like goons off. And yeah, like that scene wasn't there. But that's a very comparable scene to like that Chhatrapati scene where it goes prolonged, and then like him and the other like big goon have like a big fight in that movie also. Yeah, that's like one of my
But
negative.
even like lack of connection, I love the action though. Like I can't deny that. Like the
The
action
actual action was, yeah, the actual in some parts. Like for example, like in the first half, the action scene that he does to save Shruti Hassan, I didn't like that one because that was like a Balakrishna action scene, dude. Like he was like punching people and they were flying in 10 different directions. Like that's not the type of action that I like. Like
Start
personally,
a car engine with his hands.
yeah, yeah, car engine with his hand thing. I hated that. In the trailer, that
He
was
got my
a
blood
sick
boiling.
shot. That was a sick shot in the trailer. But when they did the car engine thing, I was like, all right, I lost it. That was kind of dumb. For me, it was dumb. And then that whole scene when it carried out, also when he was like punching those guys and they're going like 10 feet into there, I was like, I'm not connected to this at all. But because they just literally turned into like a Balakrishna like Chiranjeevi type of movie. And then
Would you bring Chiranjeevi into this?
like,
Yeah, you're right.
whole
He's
generation.
making worse movies than Balakrishna, actually.
Yeah,
But
that's like one of my biggest things with like the most hyped scene that people are talking about in the second half. And then another thing, like what Akshay was kind of alluding to, was when they were in the courtroom, right? Him and Prithviraj are in the courtroom, and the guy has to choose to kill one of them because Prabhas killed his son, right? That scene very comparable to in Bahubali when like Anushka like cuts the guy's fingers off and she's held in court in front of Rana and Ramakrishna, and like they're all there, and then Prabhas walks in, right? It's very similar to that scene, right? But in that scene, like you're emotionally connected to that scene first of all, and it's super tense. Like when Prabhas walks in, it's like shit's about to get
The
real.
man's here. Like
And right? Shit's about to get real. And he walks in and then he like has that dialogue, right? Same stuff happens, cuts the guy's head off. Same exact thing. But in that movie, like you're just so much more like connected to what's going on. And the dialogue and the delivery and like the emotion on his face, it's just conveyed so much better. Like when he's like, Narakas tala, and then like, cuts his like head off. It's so sick, right? But in this scene, he's like, no, sir, like kill me, kill me. That's his dialogue, one dialogue for like the 10 minutes.
don't
And
touch him.
Yeah, don't touch him, don't touch him. He says that for like 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, like he cuts his hand off and then cuts his head off, and he's like, yeah, I told you shouldn't have touched him. And that's it, right? There's
Right.
no emotion on his face, nothing. He just says it. And then that's the main thing. It's just like I was not like connected with this scene at all when it was playing out, versus like that very similar scene in Bahubali with Anushka when you are connected to him. Yeah, that's another thing. And then in that scene, dude, oh my, what a stupid. This is probably the stupidest thing that I've seen in the movie. When he kills off the guy's head, cuts the guy's head off, the Rama or whatever her name is, the Jalal Babu's daughter, she's like, shoot him, right? And then all these guys are fumbling with their guns as if she's like, reload your guns or something. And then they're like reloading their guns and fumbling and like giving
No,
them
I think that was
just
before. No, Kata, you got the time on. So they cut his arm off, right? And they tell him to shoot him, and then this guy chops his head off, and then they're like, "Holy fuck!" And they're just so like shocked, like, "What the fuck? This guy's a
oh, they
crackhead."
literally did not have their guns loaded because they were all reloading their guns. And
Yeah,
one guy
that
drops a
part's
fucking
stupid, but it's just
and he picks
it's
it
just
up and
cinematic
reloads.
liberties. Like it happens in
Yeah.
like hundreds of movies. You just got to give it a like.
That's a huge liberty because they're surrounded by the topmost army, the army that's like the best in the world, apparently, right? These
Yeah, but
guys
they haven't seen a
have
guy
their
that's
guns
this
loaded.
cracked. Yeah, they haven't seen.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
but
they've never met a
also
guy
yeah.
that's like
So,
this crazy.
but I
Yeah.
think like you guys said, like I think he's characterized as a child. That's basically all he is. Like he's innocent and like he's smart, but he loses all rationale when they touch something he likes, right? Just like a little kid. Like he's never grown out of that. Like he's the same Deva you see in scene one. He has no control. And you can even see that when after he murders someone, he says sorry, right? He says sorry normally. Like he's like a kid in front of Prithviraj. You know what I mean? Like it's scenes like that that showcase like this guy's crazy and like he's actually a nice dude. But then if you do what he requests you not to do, right? Please, I kindly request. Like he'll kill you. You
Dude,
know? So
but
it's like, yeah.
then they show that he has like I don't understand if he has self-control or not. Cause
No, I don't.
like
He
there's
does
a
not have self-control at
Because
all. Yeah.
the part where he's, like they're talking about when he's holding that plastic knife, he looks at himself in the mirror, and it's like some psychopath killer is about to like be unleashed. He's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
holding the knife and he's holding back that urge to kill. And again, like that's another disconnect. Like, okay, they introduced that part way before even introducing him killing 100,000 people or like making the whole reason that seal exists, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think overall there's a lot of questions in this movie that coming out of part one, you come out with the most amount of questions going to part two. Like Bahubali, you're like, oh, why did Katappa kill Bahubali? Okay, yeah, that's one. But I mean, yeah, it's a big one. But then with this one, there's like one main question, and there's like 20
so many-
other questions that are like going to like, okay, what the fuck's about that? What about this? What about that? So I think there's gonna be part two, and God knows there's gonna be a part three, but like all that, so there's gonna be a lot of just like
yeah.
cleaning up all the questions, answering all the questions. They'll have to go into part two for sure.
Should we go into the positives? Because we spent quite a bit on the negatives. Like we spent like fucking
Yeah, let's
if
go.
anyone's even watching at this point of the review, which our retention rate's not that great. So that's why we do positives first. I just realized because our retention rate's not the best. So if people hear us shitting on a movie that like half of us, only you and I like, they're gonna just dip the review. But yeah, I mean, so I guess if you guys, if like, I'll let you guys go over any more negatives you have, but maybe after that, we can go over positives.
Yeah, we can jump to positives. I mean, just a few things to rattle off like that I have last. I thought the whole friendship emotion that they're selling to us was bullshit because the movie had nothing to do with that except like 5 scenes, not even 5 scenes. And then yeah, the zombie stuff we kind of touched on it, completely stupid. And I was
Yeah,
at that point I was just done with the movie anyways. And then yeah, Shruti Hassan we talked about. Um, I think like we covered like most of it. I also the way that they told Prabhas's characterization, they did it in like a few scenes to showcase his innocence, turning into a violent person, or whatever. But I specifically remember in the beginning of the movie, some narrator or some character, I don't know who it was basically telling us Prabhas's characterization. Like, oh yeah, he's this innocent guy, does everything like by the book, like nature, but then he's able to like, erupt also. They're telling us that. And at that point, that was my first like strike. I was like, what? Why are you telling me someone's characterization? You have to show me it. Write scenes to show me his characterization. Do not tell me, do not read a book to me about his characterization. I didn't like that. And then later on, yeah, they showcase a little bit of his whatever characterization. Um, yeah, and then my main issue, what it boils down to, is I think there's a good movie here somewhere, but it's just pieced together so poorly, and the exposition is so bad. Like I understand it's only a movie, and maybe if it was like a show, like a 5 episode, like whatever, like small show or something, could have worked a lot better. So they probably had to pile in as much as they could into an exposition manner, which I didn't like. But yeah, the way it's told is what I didn't like at all. Like I know there's a good story in there, there's good concepts. Like I like the world they built. It's just told in such a unengaging and unemotional way that you're just, I mean, me, like I was just not able to connect to it at all. That's like my biggest takeaway, I would say, for negatives. But yeah, now we can just jump in positives if we're all good.
I just had like another thing to add with
What are you
you,
saying?
Sai. Like,
You were you're I couldn't hear you for like a few
oh, I said I
seconds.
had another thing to like add with what Sai said. Like, I agree with what he said. Like, the one thing is like I couldn't care enough about the movie because Prabhas, he was a good character, and so was Prithviraj. And I did like Bobby Simha, but the rest of the characters, like a lot of them were just straight stereotypes or like the same exact characters you've seen like 1,000 times before. And like a lot of the actors, like you guys said, overacted their hearts out, like they were ATV like actors. Like I didn't really care much about the other people, so it was just like 3 hours of boring until like these conflicts that again like had a lot of plot holes to them were happening, and I was like, I just kind of like lost interest at a certain point.
Okay. Um, yeah, so we can talk about the positives. Yeah. I mean, for me, yeah, for me, for me, I like the movie a lot. Like I said before, I think this is Prashant Neil's best movie. Because he really grew, in my opinion, as a filmmaker. Like he listened to the editing, the fucking seizure shit, right? That you saw in KGF 2. Like the black screen during the fight scenes every 2 seconds. The car chase scene, like if you guys know what I'm talking about. Um, or like the ridiculously fast exposition that people hated in KGF 1 this time. But the thing is, a lot of the critiques that he's still getting are improvements. Like he slowed down, he introduced his characters, he cut out a lot of the fights and let his story do more of the work. So I get it. Like there's still people who just dislike Neil's cinema in general, right? I think he has improved though, in my opinion, like in almost all aspects. He made sure his hero is not in the frame every single second, right? There's other characters, there's flaws, there's conflict. KGF is a Yash show all the way, right? Like KGF is just Yash rules the screen every time he's on. But in this movie, like there's also a lot of other like equal footing. Like Prithviraj has a lot of meat, like the lady that plays like Radha Rama, forget her name. I think it's like Shreya Reddy. Like she has a pretty good role, you know. Even that overactor zombie guy has like a decent role. Bobby Simha has like a really cool role set up for part two. So like Prashant Neil does well, it's not just Rocky Bai walking through in slow-mo, right? Um, he elevates characters well, and Prabhas is a fucking like it's been so long since I've seen Rebel Star on screen, like that title. And after 6 years, dude, people used him correctly after Bahubali 2, and it was every second he was on screen was just fucking beauty. Like I loved watching him on screen, and then the climax when he starts turning green like a fucking Sharyanga, like I was losing my shit. Like I thought elevation scenes were top notch. But Nicole, yeah, you can go ahead too.
Yeah, I think kind of transition off that too. Like, I think the elevation scenes, this was actually insane because like KGF, like yeah, it was super hype, but then I didn't really know Yash, right? So I was like,
Yeah,
oh, like pretty cool. Like I don't really know Yash like that, so like there's only so much hype I could get. Like it was mostly like the BGM that was carrying it out, but then with this one, like I feel like even like the BGM was hype, but then we know Prabhas, like he is like a tall dude. He has the cutout, and then the elevation scenes to go along with that just made it look so sick. Like I was just
yeah,
I think that that first scene where the first scene where he was like saving Shruti Hassan too. me and a boy were like sitting right next to you, we were looking at each other like, dude, this shit's so sick. Like, it's just so
It's
fucking sick.
so sick, dude.
It was just
And the
all elevation scenes, all the fighting and everything. It's just he's jacked too, and he's in very good shape, very good shape. I think it's like this is his best look post Bahubali, like
yeah,
guaranteed. So
when
his
he's
look good, carries the
yeah,
elevation scenes, and he pulling it off too. Like he's able to pull off the elevation scenes and everything because he looks like that part, and it
yeah,
looks
yeah.
very sick. We know him too, so it's more hype in my opinion.
The
I mean,
scene in the interval where it's like that screen and they're watching with all the CCTVs.
oh,
It's just
and then also
Prabhas
like
on top of a
the
truck.
tattoo comes off, dude. Oh my
Yeah, he
god,
looks like a
that shit
fucking
was
he looks like a straight monster on that truck. Like
dude.
like
And then
fucking like
and that guy and the guy who's apparently everyone's supposed to like the guy that's like super horny and like and he wanted to go to fucking someplace just for the girls like who the guy who was sleeping in the back of the truck.
yeah,
Remember, he was supposed to be like this crazy dangerous guy, but then he was like waiting to see like who the fuck is this guy? And then he sees just the tattoo comes off as the guy's like
yeah.
shitting his
There's
pants.
overaction.
That shit was
The
fucking
tattoo
crazy.
scene was sick. Like when he was
No, that
talking to that
tattoo scene
lady
was sick.
who was stoned out of
Oh,
her mind. He's like, "Give me what you see in my eyes." I was just like, and he just starts like, I like the climax. Him and Prithviraj. Like, I know you guys said you didn't think there was chemistry, but like when they were just
I
talking in
thought
the
they were
climax,
just
joking
murking people
around.
left and right, and they were like
Yeah,
fucking around. Like he randomly says
yeah,
a whistle in the middle of
yeah,
having like
yeah.
thousands
Like
of
I
just
thought
like
that was sick.
fucking
I was like,
zombies.
that's how boys, like you can clearly see in that scene, at least to me, like
Yeah,
those are like good friends. When he's like,
I
"చాలా
know
మంది
he was
friends
also
ఉన్నారు,
joking around
నీకన్నా
too.
అందంగా ఉంటారు," and he's like, yeah, what are their names? Like girlfriends.
No, no, that one was one of them. And another 16 was also when he ended up talking about how another 16 was also like he ended up whistling because Prithviraj did like the fucking like
That
crazy
was sick.
circle
Yeah,
like
yeah.
two knife cut thing, right? And then after he jokes about how, and after he jokes about how like how about like you're cat because like I still kill more people than you.
Yeah,
Like,
I still
yes,
kill more
bro.
people.
Like, bro.
No, I like scenes like that. Like even in the beginning, like when they're kids, like those kid actors were really good. In the trailer, I was a little thrown off, but I think they
Voice
fixed
was
the
different though. I feel like in the
it was
trailer, like it had a more raspy voice, but then in the
yeah, and they
actual
fixed it
movie,
in
it
the
was
movie.
more
Yeah,
normal.
he was
Like,
sounded like a normal kid, but I thought
Deva went from there
their
to like
chemistry was good. Like especially when like anyone came near Prithviraj, you see Prabhas lose his shit. Like you clearly see this is some like Arya 2 shit, right? This is this dude's ride or die, whether
yeah,
Prithviraj
yeah.
wants him or not.
Yeah,
Um,
no, and I feel like Prithviraj. Like one question I kind of had too was also like was also why did Prithviraj call Prabhas, but literally only to have him come and fucking stand there and watch him? Like, bro, like just let the motherfucker loose. Like you knew
dude,
how big
I get
how bad he was.
no, it's because I don't know. I don't
Like
know.
there
I
was
get
one
sus
time,
vibes from Prithviraj's character, low key. I don't know why,
yeah, I was like, wait,
but
I don't
something
understand
about him
what
is
he was
off.
doing because
When he
he
said
was
he
literally
wants,
gassing up. No, because dude, wasn't he was literally gassing up Prabhas to say like, oh yeah, like this is all we need. But then once he comes there, he just has him like see all the time. He gets shat on, just gets treated like shit, and he was like so confident that like that's all we need. But like he's not like like why the fuck would you get like a big ass machine gun if you're not gonna fucking use it? And no one even
no,
knows it's a fucking machine gun,
I thought, I thought
right?
like
Like,
when this fucker in the climax said like he wants the entirety of Kansar, I'm like, where did that come from? Right? I'm like, that's kind of sus. Like we never knew he was like greedy like that. He said in the first scene, I don't care about my kingdoms, I care about you. Right? But in the ending, he's like, I want Kansar. I'm like, wait, like since when?
I think he
Like
see. I feel like that was more so he just got pissed off like on all these people
maybe.
treating
Yeah,
him like shit. And he's like, I want to fucking give him like a taste of their own medicine. Like fuck those guys.
yeah.
And
No,
then
that
he's like,
scene,
I want Kansar. And then and Prabhas being like the Arya 2 esque mofo he is. He's like, I bet motherfucker like whatever
I
you want,
think
I'll fucking give you.
I think one of the sickest scenes in the movie is the voting. Like when Prithviraj
Voting?
is right there, like the scales, the two scales, when like everyone is just expecting him to vote for the ceasefire because it
Oh,
protects him, right? And this dude says, "Fuck that! I don't need protection. I have an army," and he puts it on the other scale. Like, and then you see it
everyone was
cuts
like
to
shocked.
Prabhas saying, "Let's turn Kansar red." I was like, "This is a sick scene,"
Dude, for
right?
a second,
Like,
I thought he said moaning. I was like, what, dude? Are you talking about what the fuck are you
nah,
talking
no, I
about?
wasn't moaning. I mean, maybe I was. Who knows? But yeah, I thought like that whole setup was dope, and I just that's the thing, dude. I really like the story. I think political like coups and overthrows, what they're gonna do with Bobby Simha's character, like these are all if they don't fuck it up, I think we have like a real winner on our hands. Like I think he did well. I know you guys disagree, but
I think they should have ideally they should have organized like some things that we're planning on putting in part two. They should have put in part one. Some things put in part one should have put in part two. But I think like that way organization wise was a little weird because like it left us at the end of part one just having so many more questions than what we should have
but
had coming out
but
of
they
part
should have.
one. But at the same time, we did
Yeah, yeah.
have like hypeness aspects of it and like all that. But I feel like there is some things that like are like a little bits and pieces here and there, but I think overall, I think it was sick though. Like, because
I
like I
think
think it comes
yeah,
out to be like we can't look at it as like just part one. Like I think like Push By we got at least look at it as like part one's own movie. This one we can't look at it as like an own movie. We need to have like a part two or like something from part two to like be able to say, okay, this is a whole movie. It's a lot of just building up and like characterizations and stuff like that. Like other movies, like they built it up differently than this one, but I think this one like it took a different approach, but I wouldn't say it's a bad approach because it was still
and
sick.
also like big kudos to Prabhas and Prithviraj because I don't know many tier one heroes who would willingly agree to basically like, yeah, Prabhas got elevations and shit, but he was not in the movie for a tier one hero agreeing to that and like taking like a smaller, more like weak role on screen time. I mean, there's still highs, but obviously like he agreed to that. And Prithviraj being the superstar he is, doesn't even enter until the interval. You know what I mean? So like props to both of those guys for
Second half is like all Prithviraj though. Like
yeah, but no, but I
it's
mean,
all
he's
Prithviraj.
still like, you know what I mean? Like two stars that big, like letting the story do its thing is like pretty commendable. Like I can't see like fucking like any other tier one hero doing that shit, right? 'Cause it's like all about the movie rides on them. But I think they should have advertised it. Definitely Home Ballet or someone should have said like expect to see less of Prabhas because a fair enough. A movie starring Prabhas doesn't have much Prabhas in it. So yeah, fair enough that people don't like that, right? Especially diehard fans. Like if I was a Prabhas fan and my hero's not in the movie for that long, like okay, yeah, fuck that, right? Like no matter how good the movie is, I'm gonna have an issue with that. So they should have advertised it. It's like Vikram and Vikram or Kamal Hassan and Vikram, right? He's not in half the movie, but like people were pissed about that. They're like, fuck that. Like, who's this Fahad Fossil dude? Like, get him out of the movie. Like, give me full Kamal Hassan.
So that's
Sure, people
basically like
felt the same way
RRR.
about the 900 characters. So I get it. I get the dislike towards Prabhas, but I just think this is something a tier two hero would do. So why not let our tier one heroes like actually like let the story take charge, right? This is some shit like Nani Sharwan and these guys would willingly do. It's just cool to see Prabhas do it because he takes a back seat, right? So does Prithviraj, despite being fucking massive name in Malayalam. But yeah,
I
enough of
think
us jerking the movie off. Like, let's see if these guys have anything to say
oh,
too.
one more thing to add to
Yeah,
like I think one more thing to add to like I think it was also cool because even though Prabhas got all the elevation scenes, they made it seem like Prithviraj is like a fucking like a plus. Like he can't do
he's a
shit. Like,
pussy. Yeah,
stand up for himself. I was like, what the fuck? And then until the end, we don't see him do shit. We just see him getting shat on left and right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
everyone just like bully him. And then at the end, like he just comes out of nowhere and starts murking people left and right.
The murking the zombie motherfuckers. Yeah,
Yeah, he starts murking the zombie mobile. So like I feel like that's also like kind of props to him because like yeah, it was a lot of acting, but they just make him seem like a soft ass dude, and then randomly he just comes off like that. And while this guy's like a fucking psychopath, but like he's barely on the screen. So like, there's like I think that's like another question, right? So there's like a lot of questions going in, but yeah. And then and for like the comparison, for example, you can think of it as like RR, for example, right? Like coming out RR like the second half, I'm like, dude, where the fuck is like NTR basically took the back seat. Like, why the fuck did you take the back seat? And I was pissed. Right, so it's like a similar situation with this. Like I could see why, but then props to that too. But all right, gotta go on with your cap now. I don't want to hear Ankit talk.
You guys have for 15 minutes. Did I say anything? No, right?
No,
But
no, 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 no.
my positives,
No.
my
I saw
positives.
your face, and then I saw Ankit's face, and I was like, I just don't want to see Ankit talk. Just Ankit, just mute yourself for the rest of the rest of this. Don't talk anymore.
This is why we don't have Nicole on the show that much.
Dude, can you let them talk? They let us talk for like 10
No,
minutes.
my positives that I agree in some aspects of what you guys are saying. I think the world building was decently done. As I said, there is a good world in there. There is a good like setup. All the politics, it's there. It's just not told properly. And at the Prabhas, like how it looks was great, and like the scenes that he was in were great. And I liked how they shot everything, like cinematography and like yeah, it all looks like dark KGF style, but I think it works for this type of story. Those are like my honestly like the only positives I had. Everything else, like I straight up did not enjoy the film. Like I just don't like it, and I don't think like Prashant Neel movies are for me. But because for me, like how I see filmmaking, I think he just kind of goes against it, and it's great that he achieved success doing it, but I just don't think like I can be a part of it. Even for part two, honestly, like I don't know if I'll even like watch it like when it comes out, but unless like you guys are saying too, like how he has improved from KGF, because I hate KGF. He's definitely improved in like editing, and like even storytelling is a little better here compared to KGF, but he's still not there yet. And until he gets there, maybe Solar Part 3 or whatever he does, hopefully like it's better at that point. But until there, like I don't think I'll be like joining for his like films. But yeah, do you guys have any other positives on Keith or Akshay?
I think just kind of a follow up to what you were saying, Kata. Like, I think based off what you're saying, you're just not a fan of like Prashant Neel type movies. Like, for example, like some people aren't a fan of fucking the who's the director from Animal,
Sandeep.
Sandeep Reddy Ranga type movies. Like, some people just aren't a fan of him because he's just such like dark, deep type movies, right? Like, I didn't initially didn't think like Arjun Reddy was that crazy. I wasn't a huge fan of like wanting to go to Animal that much, right? So it's like it's just not might be like it just might not be like
Yeah.
something you're into.
Also, Neil's only 4 movies old, if you think about it, right? Like his Ugram, KGF 1, 2, and Solar. So it's like lots of room for him to grow. Anyone 4 movies in is not going to be like a whiz. I mean, fucking like what NTR, like Rajmouli just jerked off NTR for the first few movies, and those are the worst ones in his
Dude,
career.
Rajmouli's fourth movie.
No offense, Nicole, but their ass. Like student number one is fucking dog shit.
Remember what was crazy? When I
But
first watched
anyways,
it, the memories are crazy.
but
I was
Akshay
crazy.
and Ankit, if you guys like want to share your positives, because I know you haven't had a chance yet.
Oh, we can't hear Akshay again.
Damn.
Ankit, if
Your
you go in
phone
the
connected to the mic again.
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I guess like the biggest negative was how they like put bits and pieces of the story, but there is a story in it. It's just like how they sequence it is what makes the most difference. The characters were great, the actors were great, the cast was great, and like even the visual effects like were a lot better than normal Tollywood movies. Like even in the action scenes where you see like body parts cut off and stuff, it was not as bad as like it was earlier. Like in Adi Purushanal, like they had the worst graphics possible. So like it's definitely a big step up, and like the fact that they actually included like more realistic like weapons and stuff like that, I find like is a positive. Like because normally they don't do that like accurately. Like at least they involve like a more realistic approach of using different armies, or like if they have like Kantar is so powerful, like they showed that they could achieve that by like all of their like leaders or whatever being able to like possess like or like acquire all those weapons and stuff like that. And normally we wouldn't like get that. It's just like, oh yeah, they're the most like powerful, and they keep it in that circle of people. They don't like expand it like worldwide and include everyone, right? So I mean, there are a lot of good things about the movie. Like the action scenes were amazing. Like I liked the action scenes. Like even though like Sai mentioned that the first one was probably not as great, but it's still like you're going for that when you're watching
Yeah,
Prabhas. Like, you're
yeah,
going for that action. Like and like I mean like even though we watched it in like no white, people freaked out in the theater, and that's what we went for, right? So like there's definitely some parts that were great about the movie, but like we said, it's just the sequencing that like probably broke the movie for us.
yeah.
Agreed. I
Which
agree.
again, like we were saying, he is getting better from KGF to now. So maybe part two, part three, how many ever parts there is for this, he'll probably get better as the movies keep coming. But as of now, I don't think he's there yet. As like in my opinion, like a good filmmaker, like a filmmaker that deserves to be making films on this level. I don't think he's there yet. But yeah, he'll probably get there.
Yeah, I agree with whatever Akshay and Sai said. I'd say I really connected with the first 10 minutes, right, of the backstory when like it's the elevation scene where he for the nose ring. I thought that was done very well, and I thought that the rest of the movie would be like that. But clearly I didn't connect with the rest of the movie like that. And I did like their chemistry, like the couple scenes they shared, like talking about the girlfriend zombies. I thought that was pretty funny. And like the rest of you guys said that I really appreciated the attempt at least trying to make like a story, right? Like not something that's like paper thin. They had a little bit of backstory and everything. Even if it didn't necessarily work out the way that I wanted to, I think like Kata said, it's a great improvement from like a wafer thin story like KGF 2.
Should we
Yeah.
just do like overview
Yeah, I
and
mean,
you know?
yeah. So yeah, I mean, we can do a final rating out of 10. This is what we usually do. We go in like a random order. So I guess we can do we can do whoever, like Akshay, Sai, Ankit. You guys can go, and then me and Nicole will go. But just out of 10, and just like, would you recommend this movie, or do you think this is something that you would ever revisit? Just like one sentence summary like that. So you guys go ahead.
Ankit, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. I think there's a definitely like a audience that likes this type of movies. I mean, obviously it's making a lot of money, so if you've watched KGF 2, KGF 1, you like that type of cinema, I think you should 100% go watch this. But if you're not really that big of a fan, I'd say save like, a couple dollars and 3 hours of your time. I'd say like I give the movie 3.754 out of 10.
What was Acharya for you again?
It was a 2.5.
This is 1.5 star above that shit fest.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really
Wow,
much
wow.
like this movie, but
Okay,
the
Nicole, come
audience.
over. Let's jump his ass.
Dude, you're
Three
not sleeping.
points. Okay, all right, yeah, whatever. All right, continue. It's your opinion.
Dude, that's like unbelievable. No, because when you said what you said, I was like, all right, dude, this is probably the most like decent like saying you probably said. Oh, like people have their own type
Yeah,
and
and then
everything.
the
Like,
number came
like,
in
and
just.
Yeah,
then
I
the
mean,
number
I
came
didn't
in
I
like,
didn't like the movie
what
much.
My number will shock you guys.
dude, you literally
Go ahead.
liked. You thought Dasra was like
Dude,
best movie of the year.
no, I like Animal more, but I fucked with Duster a lot.
Dude, yeah,
Akshay,
that just
our guest, what number do you have for this movie?
Yeah, Akshay, go
Um,
ahead.
I think I would give it like a solid 5. Like
Okay.
not there, not here, but like a solid 5 for effort though.
Yeah.
It does take a lot to put like this cast together first of all, and like the budget and like the visual effects like I mentioned, like that's the reason. I mean like Sai and everyone said there is a story there, so I can't deny that we can't build something from this, like maybe from the sequels, part 2, part 3, whatever. But for now, like 5, like maybe a one time watch in the theater just to enjoy that feel of watching it in the theater, listening to that BGM and like all the action scenes. I would definitely recommend like people go at least like for the sake of like enjoying the movie with all the effects you could possibly have. Go to the theater at least once.
Yeah, I echo both your guys' sentiments. I think for me, like I didn't like it, so I have to give it below a 5 because for me, 5 is average, but I would give it a 4 out of 10. Yeah, just straight up, I didn't like it, and there were a couple of positives, like I mentioned, but majority of the movie, like I was not enjoying myself. And at the time, I was questioning Neil's filmmaking capabilities to why he's even making this huge of a blockbuster. But yeah. So yeah, I straight up I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but like Akshay was saying, like it is a good open weekend type of a film. Like if you go with a huge crowd and like you go with that energy, you're probably gonna like it. But I feel like if you were just gonna go like on like second weekend or watch it at home, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
had a
Yeah.
question. What did you rank? What would you rank Kita Cola out of 10?
Dude, what is this a comparison?
No,
Really a 1 crore comedy film, and you're comparing that to
I'm just wondering, like, what would you rank that?
can you rank this?
Answer the question.
Can you
Huh?
rank this?
No. Can you rank Kita Cola?
No.
That was a question I asked.
Dude's
Dude,
acting like, oh, actually, Maitre's
can you give
distributing.
respect to a fucking
He
guest?
has some sort of a like
No, can you
links.
have some decency and
That's why he's so
answer my
butthurt
question?
that my later rating is
Oh,
so
can
low.
you answer my question?
No, I'm not answering it. Move on.
Decent fellow.
Okay.
You call yourself a
Yeah.
hood?
I mean, this is very fucking polarizing. Like, I know there's a lot of people who don't. I mean, we're NRI motherfuckers, right? Like, we're like people that live in the States. Like, we're pretentious as fuck. Like, we have majority of people like it, right? It's majority of people like it, but I think it's gonna cause a lot of discussion. Like first off, half this call is split. You know, like you guys hated it. You know, uh we obviously liked it. So it's like it's gonna be a split movie just the same way Animal was. It's not as problematic as Animal, but it's gonna be split, right? You either hate it or you love it, but I loved it. Only negatives I can think of was overacting and then lack of BGM. But I just fucking loved like seeing Rebels, like seeing Prabhas back on screen. I fully recommend it. I don't think it'll be good on OTT because usually movies like these are like you watch in the theater halls with people, right? You're never gonna rewatch this shit like on like you're streaming. And I yeah, I don't think it makes sense to either, but I give it an 8. Like I really can't think of much I disliked about it. It's probably one of my like High Nana was my favorite movie this year, but Solar is like just entertained me start to finish. Um, and it revitalized my love for Prabhas because it was dropping to new lows after Radhe Shyam, Adi Purush, fucking Saho. So glad to see him back. It's only up from here. I think Sandeep Reddy is not as bad as those other movies. Marthi, we'll fucking see, but it's only up from here, I hope. But yeah, Nicole, your rating.
Okay. I would rate it a 7.5. Because I think I genuinely liked it. I think my biggest issues that I just saw was just like the way it was organized. Like I said, like big things. I feel like some things that they plan on putting in part two, they put in part one. They should put in part one. Some things they put in part one should have been in part two, just to kind of alleviate all the questions you come out of at the end of part one. But yeah, I think aside from that, like I think that was like the biggest thing for me. And then like I also went in expecting like KGF esque with like a lot of the elevations and the crazy BGMs to just get me like fucking so like pumped that I was like I'm like fucking ready to kill someone. Right? Like I was like going in I wanted to sit next to Ankit. So like if I get pissed off and get some good like BGMs to do, I can just murk them in the theater. So, but then I didn't get that. So there was it's just I feel like there was also like me. I was also expecting like some sort of like Yesh to come in, right? Like I think that was us going in a lot. Like I feel like if Yesh came in, I would have lost my damn mind. So like it was a lot of that, but that wasn't there. But even still, I'd give it like 7.5 because like the movie itself was entertaining. The elevations were crazy and stuff. But yeah, and you also have to keep in mind like the two people that didn't like it, like this dude Ankit, he thought Dust was like the movie of the year. Like that comes to show what his taste is. And then fucking Kata, like this dude thought Keto Cola was like batshit crazy movie. Like I
Dude,
thought
I
that
mean,
movie was
Hey,
shit.
you do
once
I thought
realize
it
again,
was
like
Keto
boring as
Cola
fuck.
is liked. I don't understand
once
why you're saying
once
it.
I
again,
thought that
like
movie was boring as
Majority of
fuck.
people.
this
I
this
thought
is
it,
a
like
movie. This is a movie where like I like it, and I don't think like but I completely understand why people don't like it, right? It's like
I
if
thought that
someone
shit was
didn't like
boring.
Hainan, I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why do you
Exactly.
not like
So
this movie?
like
But movies like this, it's divisive. Me and Siva left the theater, and some fucking Indian girl next to us was like, that was really bad. I was like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
like
it's probably like
I
was
get
some
it. I
probably it was probably like some Shruti Hassan esque girl.
no,
Uh,
I get it. Like I don't think they're
That's
capped
I
for.
mean it's just like people have different
Ankit's
tastes.
every other opinion is capped, but this one I kind of
But
at least
Ankit actually
understand.
just like dude,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my my head hurts.
It's to
Like
each their own.
I
Like
have stuff in.
especially since both of them didn't like KGF, I'm not
No,
surprised.
that's the thing. I feel like they just don't like Prashant Neil kind of movies. They just don't understand
Yeah.
the concepts of it, but like they just don't get the hype.
Akshay liked KGF but didn't like Solar. That's
Yeah, see, that's
interesting.
why
I
I
feel
feel
like I
like
don't see that
I
as much.
respect what Akshay was saying because like he was saying like okay like I understand what they tried to do. This is he had more reason behind it. This guy's just basically like shitting on a
Don't cap.
rating
You respect it
Wait,
because he
talking
gave the
about the
highest score
stuff.
of the three.
oh, wait.
Huh?
You know what the highlight is? The highlight is Nicole saying we didn't understand the concepts. When this dude was like, Prabhas is a Sharyanga. Shut the
I
This
fuck
dude
up.
didn't know
didn't
what
even know
Shoryanga
what a
was.
Shoryanga
Yeah.
was.
Literally
I'm quiet.
stop
I
the
didn't care
cap.
that much to remember the
Stop the
actual
cap.
names. I was just enjoying the movie. I didn't look at
Motherfucker
like
opened up Google. He's like, what is a
fact.
Shoryanga?
No, I knew what Shoringa is. I just didn't know what the
What's a
name was.
Sharyanga? What is a Sharyanga?
How many times you literally asked me this like 2 hours ago when you were
He's
fucking
ducking the question.
Do you guys watch Naruto?
Exactly.
Or actually, I don't know why I'm asking you fuckers.
yeah.
Okay.
They're like the
No,
Uchiha
no,
clan of
Sharinga is the
fucking
fucking clan that Prabhas is part of with the fucking Bobby whatever motherfucker. and all that shit too.
Bobby Deol. Yeah.
I guarantee you, Nicole just pulled up the Wikipedia like 5 minutes before we
Yeah, my
started
hands are
recording.
literally here the whole time, fucking cocksucker.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him defend himself now.
Dude, can you stop? You fucking jerked off Kita Cola and this fucker jerked off Dusara. Like, that doesn't speak for itself. I don't know what does.
Okay.
Why is
okay,
Keto Cola
this is
catching strays?
yeah. I don't understand why he
Kita
thinks.
Cola was actually the
Yeah, you
most
have to
boring
understand.
movie I've seen this entire year.
You have to
Like, it was
understand. You're in
literally
the
about
minority in
dude,
that.
shut up. It was literally
You're
about
the
a
minority of
mosquito.
people.
It was literally about an Ega that went in a fucking Coca-Cola bottle. They made a whole damn
It
movie
was a
on that.
cockroach, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Not an
first of all, it was a
Ega.
That's
cockroach.
even worse.
And there's a
fucking
movie called
cockroach.
Ego with the same
These
concept. that
motherfuckers
fucking-
tried to sue a fucking company called Kita Cola. Let alone that too, because of a fucking cockroach.
Nicole, isn't one of your favorite NTR movies Student Number One? Like,
Yeah, when I was
that's
a
the one you
kid,
chose.
and I
Wait,
liked it
don't
because of the
All right,
don't
yo,
get
yo. This is
involved.
getting
All right.
derailed. Well, okay, I think there's only like one person listening by this point, anyways. But let's end it.
It's usually me.
Yeah, it's usually like one of us.
Okay.
It's always one
yeah.
kid that pisses me off and just takes me off. And
But we hope you guys enjoyed. I know this is a longer episode. Akshay, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, Akshay.
thanks.
Yeah, hopefully you had a fun time. But yeah, so we're glad to have you guys, and there's a lot of movies coming up. Fucking Sankranti, Kuntur Karam, all those movies. So Akshay, if you
God.
ever want to be back in them, just let us know. We're always open to guests.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed and thanks for watching. Monkey, stop recording.